welcome back to another episode of NFT Artist Spotlight, hosted by AstroZero. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
We have a human anatomy-based project with Melissa here. It's called Anatomical Hearts, and she's also working on one called the Anatomical Project. So welcome to our spaces, Melissa.
Thank you.
If you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your art background, the inspiration for your project, and what made you decide to bridge over from just hearts into other organs in the body like the liver, kidneys, and brain.
Sure. So I guess I'll start with I didn't go to school for art. I'm actually a mechanical engineer and did that for a number of years. Really enjoyed that. But our daughter was born 7 years ago, and she was born with congenital heart defect, so CHD, and she also has a rare genetic disorder. So, among other, medical complexities. So at that point, I stayed home with her, and at 11 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. She had to have another open heart surgery at 1 year old, and then when she was 2 years old. And she's had a number of other things, but during that medical journey, I decided to draw anatomical hearts as a way to cope. Art has always been something I loved, but I went and I did something, I did engineering. So I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do art as a career, which is, silly of me upon reflecting upon that. But I was really excited to get back into it, and it really helped me just process everything I was going through. And so I've been doing, I made a coloring book earlier this year with my anatomical hearts. But I heard about CryptoKitties in 2018. Had no idea that you could just have art with it. Like, I always thought it was going to be a game. And then I heard about Beeple in April, and I was like, wait, what did he do? Kind of thing. And I was like, well, let me just learn about this space. And I didn't know what would come of it. And I ended up, our daughter had major hip surgery in July. So I didn't actually get into the space until like August 31st. I looked up the date I launched my hearts. So I actually took those hearts that I talked about earlier, about how I tried to cope with all of her medical, all of that medical things that she was going through, and I put those on as my first collection. So my first collection was just called Anatomical Hearts. It was 100 hearts that I drew over the past number of years. I added color to them, and I think by mid-September I sold out that collection, and it was amazing. I had no idea what to expect from the space, and I was really excited about that. And I was talking with a lot of people, and they're like, "This is really cool. Have you thought about the brain and all this?" And I to be honest, I had thought about it, but I had no idea where this was going to go. And I was like talking with my husband, Ryan, and we're like, maybe I need to do a whole series, a whole project of these. So in mid-October, I expanded into another collection, a different collection, because I didn't have the foresight to put it all in one because I was learning about this. And it's called the Anatomical Project. And my idea is to create NFTs for each body part, organ, whatever you want to say, just kind of go with what people are asking for. So right now I am working on livers, lungs, kidneys, and brains, and I plan on drawing or having 100 NFTs of each of those. And I've just been toying around with the idea of, adding in a little bit more mix to that. So maybe I got some feedback from my Discord of people saying maybe eyes or DNA or spines and things like that. But that's kind of how this whole thing evolved into where I am today.
So the most important question that I think I could ask you is how's your daughter doing today? Is she doing better than she was when she was first born?
Yes, she's doing better. Her heart, she just had an echo about a month ago, and her heart's really stable, which is great. She has non-native valves, and those, as you grow, because she was really little when they were put in, they sometimes don't grow, with you, and they stay small while your heart grows bigger, or they might stiffen up. And as of right now, they're still working. They're very flexible, and they're still like appropriately sized for her heart. So that's really good. I will say she had major hip surgery. I think I told you in July, and she's 7 right now, and so I don't know if you want me to go into it, but I will. So she had a pelvic and femoral osteotomy, which if you look it up, it's hard for me to process ortho stuff. It's so brute force compared to other things that it's hard to totally take that in as a parent. But she was in a spica cast for 8 weeks. So I don't know who knows what a spica cast is, but if you look it up, it's a cast from her armpits to her ankles. So she had that for 8 weeks, and we, it was, she's 45 pounds and opinionated and a 7-year-old who wants to walk and can't. So the good thing is in the last few weeks, she just started walking again. So she's really happy. She was, we have our walker in the house, and she's doing really well. So her heart's stable, and she's walking again, and we're really excited to be here at this point with her right now.
That's fantastic news. That's great to hear.
Thank you.
Very glad. So somebody that is relatively new in the NFT space, how did you go about getting the word out about your project to make it sell out so fast?
So yeah, I will say I opened a Twitter, I don't know, years ago, and I had no followers, and I kind of fished around on Facebook, and no one knew what I was talking about when I asked about NFTs and all that. So I was like, well, I'm just going to do this on my own. So, it was kind of crazy. I think a few days in from my first launch, Gary V posted like, hey, any artists who haven't sold anything, please, drop a link below. And he didn't pick mine, but like I told my story in like, a sentence or two, showed him my art, and I got like 10 sales that night, that just blew my mind. And then another project called Bull Market Girlfriends, I was following them, and my husband chatted with them. They ended up sharing my story in like 6 to 8 part tweet, and their community just bought them all. I mean, it was in 90 NFTs in 30 minutes or an hour. It was amazing. And I just want to say this NFT community, I've been on, Instagram or Facebook or all these other places, and I just felt like I never fit in. And then I came on Twitter and Discord and NFTs, and this is like, I just want to like hug everyone I meet. I mean, it's amazing. I really can't believe the amount of support, and, when you're on, this is just as an artist, when you're on like Instagram, people are like, hey, can you do my logo for me? I'm like, I really don't want to I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And then in an NFT space, people are just either really excited about you, or if someone doesn't like my art, I get, if you don't like livers and you don't want to collect that, I get that. That's okay. But people don't like tell me that they don't like my livers. They just don't collect it, and that's fine. And I also had a random person make me a Discord. Like I had no experience, and the community just showed up and just wants to help each other. I was like, what? I'm like, I don't even know Discord, and I don't even know, do I pay you? Can I give you some NFTs? Like, I was like, I don't know what to do. But he's like, no, don't worry about it. I just want to get it out there for you. And I was like, that's amazing.
That kind gentleman is in the audience too.
Oh, are you? Dad Cypher?
Oh, yeah.
Are you here?
Yep,
hey.
Dad Cypher is there. We've got some great friends in the audience today.
It's pretty remarkable how supportive the NFT community is, as opposed to any other community I've ever seen with anything. I feel like I stepped into a different dimension when I talk to artists in the NFT space, because nobody's cutthroat. Nobody wants to see anybody fail, and it's really remarkable. Like when I first got into the NFT space, I didn't know anything, and I'm a very honest person with people. When I don't know something, I ask questions, and I expected to get blowback from people like you would on other social media platforms, and people tell you that you're stupid, get the F out of here, I don't want to talk to you. And no, people just sit there and they talk to you and they try to coach you along. And I wouldn't say that I'm the most knowledgeable person with NFTs, but I sure as hell learned a lot in a short period of time just by talking to people.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I don't know if anyone's an expert, but there's a lot of people that are happy to share what they know, and it propels you along. It's really been an amazing 3 months. It feels like it's been years, but it's been amazing.
So you came out with a coloring book as well, as far as your hearts go, and it's being sold on Amazon. I see it on your link tree.
Mm-hmm.
Did the coloring book come out prior to you making NFTs? Was the NFTs an afterthought?
It came out after, but it wasn't an afterthought. So I ended up self-publishing that on Amazon, and I think I heard about NFTs in March, April, right around then. And I knew I could get out the coloring book by, I had all the art done. So I knew I could get the coloring book done in a certain amount of time, but I knew NFTs would take more attention. And just preparing for my daughter's surgery, I was like, I can't divide my attention on something so new. So during that time, I knew I don't even know, some of the stuff you can see that I minted it a while ago, way before September, maybe even June, I minted it. But I knew I didn't want to, when I give something, I want to give it my all. And I knew it was going to be a steep learning curve, and it really was, but they came out separately, but in my mind, that time gap is so, small, but yeah.
So what made you decide on doing 100 pieces? Is it the sheer amount of time that it takes to make these being hand drawn, or is it just you weren't certain if you were going to be able to sell 100? What was the thought process behind that?
I had been watching, different collections come out, and I wasn't sure, and I don't know if there's a right answer with all of that for me, but my thought process is I didn't think of wanting to do a big, 10,000 piece project. I wanted to do something so it's 100 pieces, but I kept them all at 0.05 ETH, and I really wanted people that liked the art, but also maybe had medical journeys to be able to, collect my hearts. And I've done that with everything. I feel like it feels like something I can manage. 100 pieces. It feels like a good price point, and to get into one of these pieces. And I guess I didn't really, now 500 pieces might not seem that much to me, but 100 felt like a good push for me. not crazy. So it was a bit arbitrary, but I mulled it over for a while. But maybe I would have changed things if I knew more, but I didn't. So I like the 100. I'm not going to add to it anymore because, I committed to that 100, and that's why I'm doing, these other collections to support other people's medical journeys or things they like and things like that.
I see some of the proceeds that you get from your NFT sales, they go into charitable donations. And the one that you talk about on your website is Children's Wisconsin. Can you talk about that a little bit and why
Yeah.
that is so important to you?
So when it comes to the charitable giving, I've been doing a drop once a week on Sundays for 8 pieces. And one of those pieces, either a buy now price, or they've been auctions lately. So I've been doing an auction once a week and to see how much money we can raise. And 4 weeks ago, I started a collab with Ethereum Towers where whoever wins that one auction piece also gets a 0 ETH whitelist for their project. And then whoever was the winning bid, we donate that those proceeds to Children's Hospital. So we've been doing that as a collab for, this was just our 4th week. I actually wrote down this number. So far in 4 weeks, so 4 pieces of art we've been able to raise and donate $6,600 to Children's Hospital, which is, just amazing. Something I couldn't have done without the NFT community. It's been amazing. And then Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, we're just outside Milwaukee. So my daughter gets most of her care right here. And her open heart surgeries, this is not, she went into, Ryan, you want to, I don't know.
Yeah, sure. So
you want to?
Yeah, that's not a problem. At our daughter's 3rd open heart surgery, so she, it was 2 weeks after her 2nd birthday. Going into it, it was a very involved surgery. So, the surgery we knew would last probably 10 to 12 hours. They had to do a couple major repairs and essentially replumb her heart. And sadly, coming off the operating room table, she went into ventricular fibrillation, essentially cardiac arrest. And this was right after they had just closed up her chest. So figure newly closed little 2-year-old chest needing chest compressions. And they had begun clearing the OR to transport her out. So they had to get the defibrillator back. She had to be defibrillated. And then they had to reopen her chest, call in the emergency cath lab team from their homes to come in and do some exploratory things. And they saved her life. So just a lot of trauma on a little body, had a real rough time taking it, and they literally saved her life. And so Children's Wisconsin is a really near and dear place to our hearts. We are very involved there in multiple ways, and Melissa really wanted to commit to supporting them in as big a way as possible. And she mentioned that collaboration. That's one of the amazing things about this NFT space, as well as the collaborative environment. Ethereum Towers is a really neat project we're very active in. And we asked them if they would consider collaborating, and they said, heck yeah, and are willing to drop one of their NFTs with Melissa's every week for these auctions. And it's just gone incredibly well. So yeah, that is a heart surgery that is forever etched into our minds. And really, after that experience, goodness, we couldn't. You couldn't talk about it for months without crying. You just couldn't. It was impossible. So very, like I say, very near and dear place to our hearts.
Thanks for stepping up.
You got it, buddy.
I figured you'd be able to handle that one better than me today. So thanks.
I'm sorry if I'm asking any questions that are making you for sure.
No,
you're good. So a
Yeah.
little bit of context too. We had I know, Melissa, we have a lot of joy going on with our daughter regaining some of her ability to walk, but we also had a pretty difficult orthopedic appointment yesterday where the hip surgery wasn't really as successful as we were hoping for. And so we have a 3D CT set up for next week to go in and see what's going on. She really can't bend her hip past maybe 30 degrees. And so we're going on many, many months of a 7-year-old having some big time mobility issues, and to find out kind of where we're at right now is a little challenging. With Adair's rare genetics, everything is, people just don't know. She's one of 30 known people in the world with her genetic disorder. And so nobody, there's different things about kids with her stuff and people with her stuff. And so it's, every surgery is a bit of a, there's plenty of unknowns, and you go the best you can and you make decisions that you can, and surgeons do the best they can. And this one is proving to be a little bit more challenging. So it's been a weird 24 to 48 hours or so.
It has been,
so
yeah.
The emotions are a little right there, a little on the surface.
Usually I can talk about the stories, but today I was like, can you just hop on? Because I have a feeling that if we talk about this, which is fine, I feel like I just need reinforcements. So that, yeah.
Well, teamwork makes the dream work.
For sure.
we have Dustin here as a co-host, and it's very important. I think when we talk about charitable organizations and doing charity work, and Chronic Cats here, his wife is also doing charity work for children with pediatric cancer, and they're trying to get involved with funding donations for children with pediatric cancer, specifically because a large portion of the donations that people donate to the American Cancer Society or any other type of cancer programs and charities, only 4% gets distributed down into pediatric cancer. So they're trying to bring more awareness to that. And, I don't know if you guys want to get in contact with each other. Maybe you guys could try to do something together. Children, but I don't know if Dustin, if you want to talk about it briefly, feel free.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. My wife had a friend whose daughter passed away very young from cancer, and it affected our whole family in a way that we weren't able to come back from. And to find out that only 4% of all cancer research donations go to children's cancers, that's where we're wanting to try and step in and change the percentage, because you can donate money, but that's still only just a small dent whenever they're only getting 4%. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I would love to. I wrote down your name. Maybe we can have a discussion later, or maybe we can figure out something to do together if you want. So,
yeah, most definitely.
All right, so let's try to get away from some sad stuff and talk about some happy stuff in NFTs here for a minute. So when you draw your hearts, do you draw them from different angles? And also, have you considered maybe doing zoomed in portions where you focus in on strictly like the aorta or different types of ventricles?
I try to do the front view of it. All my stuff's 2D, so I really haven't explored anything 3D or anything from different sides. And I will honestly say I've never thought about doing a zoomed in version. I will say my hope is, so right now I have the hearts, the anatomical project, and that's doing other body parts. This is a big project, but I want to do a CHD NFT project, so congenital heart defect project, and I want to be able to show before and after surgeries, before, with the actual defect of the heart, and then after, kind of showing where things are replaced, or there's, sutures and things like that. So it's not what you were asking, but I've never thought about zooming in. So I like that idea. I feel like someone else mentioned something the other day. I was like, that's a good idea too. I need to think about these things. So, yeah.
So, I came onto your Discord the other day just to kind of, I guess I was snooping around a little bit because, kind of kind of something that I have to do in order to get all these questions and stuff ready. So, how many new friends have you actually met from doing this project? Like people that you wouldn't have necessarily met without going into making your art project?
I'd probably say oh my goodness. I've probably made a good friends I talk with a lot, probably 30 people, but I've met so many more than that, like hundreds of people. You know what I'm saying? It's been absolutely amazing. Um, I had no friends in this space, and then all of a sudden I have a whole new group of friends that are right here. It's been crazy. So my Discord's pretty small. I think there's maybe 100 or so people in there, but it's me and my husband that run the Discord, and then I have two mods, so we keep it pretty chill. And then um yeah, so it's probably somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think I saw on there the other day somebody said, "Hey, I'm getting home from work at this time. If you want to have a couple drinks on Zoom, let me know." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool! Like you actually develop like nice friendships and stuff with each other, and who would have thought? You know,
Yeah, who I've sent some people, stickers and things like that, and connect in real life, and you get to hear about their stories, you hear about their kids and what they're doing today, and you actually get to know people, not just pop into a Discord and say, I don't even know which, hi, good morning, but you actually have a conversation in addition to just the initial good morning. So it's been cool.
so you're selling your hearts and your livers and kidneys. Is that being sold on the ETH blockchain?
Yes, correct.
What made you decide to use that rather than something like Solana or Polygon?
I read I before I dive into something, I read a ton of articles. So it was you know reading articles and then lingering on Twitter and just kind of seeing what people were talking about. And between those two things, I just decided on Ethereum. Um, the hard thing is with my price point, I mean, sometimes gas is more than my actual piece. So it's a little sticky in that situation. Hopefully that changes. I've thought about other things, but at this point, my project is on there, but I have been looking into more things recently just to see what else is out there, kind of relearning new, chains again and things like that to try and understand what would support um, my projects best.
I think that's a little bit of a hardship that some artists um, kind of step into with the ETH blockchain. When you're trying to sell something at an affordable price and then somebody goes to buy it and then they see that they're paying 3 times as much for gas, I think that could be a hindrance. But on the other hand, you get a lot more exposure when you're on ETH. So I think it's kind of you have to weigh out the options to see what's actually the best for your personal project.
For sure. I've actually been thinking exactly that. And I know I really like my livers and kidneys, but they don't just sell out because not everyone wants that. But I think when I find the right person, they're going to be like, yeah, I want that. That's what I've been told, things like that. But it is a hard, gas is just so expensive that I don't, I get it. I don't blame people. I'm like, I get it. It's the same amount. So
Do you think in the near future we're going to have NFTs? I don't know if infiltrate is a good word. If we're going to see NFTs being used in the medical industry, maybe as far as like medical records go, or I don't know, maybe having things that somebody a CAT scan put into an NFT version.
So I've thought about this. I've never talked to anyone about this. I don't. It's a really interesting thing to do. I'll tell you a funny. I guess it's not a funny story. I don't know if this is a funny story. So we got our daughter's medical records when she was like 2 years old, And it was, I don't even know. I think we had to get, I think they burned us a CD even back then. I don't even know what they did, but we looked at the number of pages and the number of pages, and we calculated how many reams of paper it was. I don't remember how many reams, but I think it was about as tall as me, and I'm like 5 feet, 5 feet 5 inches tall. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much information. And if something happened to that information, I wanted my own copy. But I've thought about that for medical records. Like, it would, in my mind, be a safeguard against, possible loss looking back at records. I don't understand how privacy could be, how you guard against privacy with that kind of stuff, because in my mind it's all public. But I have thought about, now this is a personal project I've thought about for my daughter. So my daughter has had 15 surgeries. And my plan is at some point to draw her surgeries, every surgery she's had done, maybe with a before and after, and put it in her own wallet, and put the date and put what the surgery was, so that she can have that as, memory doesn't feel like the right word, but, something to remember those dates by. And also, in my mind, if she goes to the doctor, she's 16, or maybe 18, right? She's like, when did I have that surgery? And she can go look it up in her wallet and be like, oh, it was, 2016 that I had XYZ surgery, and she can write it down really quick without, bringing along documents or calling me or whatever that comes to. But privacy is the one thing. And I know what I just said is kind of giving away information, but I don't know how many people would be looking for it. I don't know if I'd want x-rays on, the blockchain, but, and maybe I don't understand it totally, but that's kind of my personal goal within the next year, to do something like that for her.
Yeah, HIPAA laws would definitely be a big obstacle as far as that goes. I guess they would have to make a privatized blockchain specific to medical systems in order to do that. With I don't even, Dustin would know.
It's actually a lot easier than what you think. So everyone knows about a reveal for an NFT. You can actually specify an NFT reveal between two parties, so only the doctor and the patient has access to that metadata. It's very plausible.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing. That would be such a neat thing to have. I mean, you wouldn't want it for everything, but some of those big things that you want to mark would be really cool.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's definitely something I'm interested in. Could give you a hand with as well. So
I would love that. I gotta figure out what I want to do, but I had no idea. So that's something, you learn something new every day, it feels like.
Yeah, so that's the part I was saying where none of us are experts. We all learn from each other, because I didn't know either. I just kind of spitball ideas sometimes and throw them out, but Dustin is more of the technical guy here when it comes to stuff like that. So thank you, Dustin. I appreciate that.
no worries.
Have you done any other art outside of your two projects that you're doing, maybe prior to you doing the hearts or anything like that?
It's all been, I don't know what you want to say, kind of, I've dabbled in a lot of different things, different sketches, different paintings, acrylics, things like that. I sew, I mean, different things like that. I've made quilts in the past. It's been mostly, I really like ink and paper. It's always been my preferred way. And it's always been something that has been hard to translate into, it's not a big, canvas that has a ton of acrylics on it. So doing this with NFTs has, I feel like, been a good way to view my art compared to other avenues I've tried in the past. But I can't say I have a huge portfolio before this, but if you saw my notebooks in college, I mean, it was covered in drawings. I mean, just very similar to the style I'm doing now, was just that's what I've always done.
What do you use? You use an iPad to draw?
Initially I was doing just ink and paper, and now I do use an iPad Pro with a pencil and then in Procreate. And I've played around with a few other things, but I like Procreate the best. And then I put it into Adobe Illustrator and I make it into a vector, and then I add color on my computer. So that's been my process. All of my skills have been, self-taught, nothing formal. So it's, maybe I'm not doing the most optimal way, but it's the process I've been using for a number of years.
Have you fallen down the rabbit hole like some of us and started collecting NFTs yourself and gotten a little bit out of control with it?
Yes, that's hard yes.
Yes. I started collecting a lot, and then I ran out of. We try to keep our personal and my business separate, so I ran out of ETH. We both kind of allocated our own amount of ETH, and Brian was like, I want to get into this too. And then he got like the same amount, and now we're like, oh my goodness, this is a really, really bad habit. So I've been trying to, it's also really difficult to create NFTs and collect art. So I've kind of backed away from collecting, but I bought a few the other day and I was like, this is so dangerous. It's hard to be in this space and not do that.
Yeah, it's that old saying, "Don't get high on your own supply," right? That's kind of what NFTs do.
For sure.
So Ryan, do you also create NFTs?
No way. I am not the creative one. I love everything Melissa does. I love supporting art in general. For me, this space has been about community. We've been, because of our daughter's health concerns, we've essentially been on lockdown since February of 2020 due to the global pandemic. And realistically, every viral season for her entire life, we have behaved very similar to how we're behaving now. So we were sanitizing before it was cool. We were wiping down surfaces before it was cool. Very early on, we discovered that our daughter, if she were to get sick, she gets sick much longer than other people do, like three times as long. And because of one of her heart surgeries, the nerve that controls her left vocal cord is paralyzed. That nerve was severed when her vocal cord is paralyzed in the open position. And if you don't know, fun fact, your vocal cords protect your airway when you swallow. And so when somebody is creating a lot of secretions, like when they're sick, it becomes really hard to manage your airway and not aspirate. And so we had enough experiences with a 2-year-old, type age where you're giving a milliliter of water at a time, and meals take 2 hours because you're giving small bites, a milliliter of water at a time. So we've been playing it safe every viral season since. And so this NFT space, though, has given us community, like ramped up community, as you guys were talking earlier. That's been huge. And so I'm the one who spends a lot of money, I guess you could say, and I get to meet just incredible people, a lot of whom are here listening to this space. So that's been my role, just spending the money.
That's all right. Got to spend it somewhere, right? You might as well spend it and make some friends.
That's right.
So, the NFT space is, I would say, male dominated. I don't really know if that's even the right way to say it, but have you seen more of an emergence of women artists lately in the NFT space? Because I know I have.
I definitely have seen so many women. I come from an engineering background. I'd be in a lecture hall and there'd be one other, friend in there that's a female and all the rest male. And I noticed, going into this space that it felt like a lot of men, which doesn't really bother me, but it was just something, you think about. And then I feel like recently, more in the last month or two, I've seen just so many women-led projects, women groups, people, females, like, just supporting each other. It's been really cool. Well, there are a lot of men. It's been neat to see, room at the table for both. Um, and it's just been really neat to see it ramping up. I feel like it's, traditional kind of techie stuff. I feel like this is just spitballing. I feel like the percentage of women is higher in this space than it is in other, maybe, engineering or STEM type things. It's been neat to see.
Yeah, the one area where I really want to see NFTs starting to get tapped into is I really want to see more children getting into it. Um, there's not really a lot of little kids that I see doing this, and I don't know if it's because of the price point as far as what it takes to get into it, with gas prices and maybe initial minting, and maybe parents just think it's easier to give their kid a cell phone or a tablet and let them do their thing. But I would really like to see in the near future that we get like elementary school kids involved in this, and kids in high school, and I think that's the next frontier, and that's really what's going to make this blow up once we start getting children into this, and kids are, you know, at the holidays they want to have the newest version of whatever software it is so they could create an NFT. I think that's super important, and I think it all starts with education. I really think we need to develop an educational platform in order to make this easier for people to understand.
I I totally agree. I was on a Twitter space, and I think he said he was like 14 or 16, and I was like, that's so cool. But how much initiative does that kid have to be able to figure out how to go to exchange, figure out a wallet, hey, mom and dad, can I have some money to go do this? Can I, Discord and Twitter? And I'm like, that's awesome. And this community, I mean, people can access it, but you don't really know anyone, so you kind of have to stumble through until you figure it out to at least get on the right footing. And I wonder if that's, part of the stumbling block is maybe the kids that want to do it or maybe would do it, the parents don't even know how to get to that point yet. Or the other, Ryan had a friend, not a coworker, but someone he works with. He's like, my son is, 17. He got this ENS drop,
Oh
whatever. Is
yeah,
this legit? And it's like, yeah, it is. Your kid's not just, and we've had a few parents come to us like, oh yeah, my kids are doing this, but I don't know what they're doing. It's an interesting mix.
yeah. I think a big problem too with with children getting into it and why we need education in it. There's so many scammers, like people trying to put dusted tokens in your wallets and just doing really, like, excuse my language, but doing really shitty things to people, and it's not cool. And I think they would really take advantage of children because a kid would say, "Oh, look, I got a free NFT in my wallet, and look at how cool this is." And they connect, and the next thing you know, like all the money and hard work that they put in is completely wiped out of their wallet because someone has to be a lousy human being. So I think the education has to come first and foremost. I mean, uh, myself, if I get a little bit scammed or something like that, it's not going to affect me. But that could completely kill a kid's morale to even want to continue in the space. So that's why I always stress education. I think it's super, super important.
For sure. My daughter is 7, and she's like talks to grandma about NFTs and how we're doing NFTs this and that, and I'm like, "Oh man." We have to have funny conversations with adults about her telling them about what we're doing. I was like, we can just like, tell some people, maybe not maybe not grandma, cuz I don't know if she'll get this.
So if anybody has any questions for Ryan or Melissa, and you want to come up top here and just say hi or talk to them about anything, feel free to raise your hand, or if you're in the speaker box already, just yell out. If not, I'm going to just keep on continuing with a few more questions. So let's see here. If you could give anybody that's new in NFTs a little bit of advice on how to get started and maybe a mistake that you made that you could prevent them from making, what would it be?
I would say just buy your first NFT. Find something, a small project, low cost ETH, and just pull off the band-aid and do it. You learn so much by it. Also, just do that. And probably my worst mistake was a 1 ETH mistake. I listed something. It was a curio card, and I have 2 of them. I listed one, and I mislisted it by 1 ETH, which was crazy, and a bot got it. So my advice is, when you list anything, make sure you're not distracted and you know what you're putting in before you do it. So that's probably my biggest regret.
I can't believe you admitted it in a public format. I thought we were never going to speak of that.
I feel it's a learning opportunity for everyone. It was confusing with the 2 curio cards. I don't know what happened, but yeah, everyone can be disappointed in me. It's okay. I can own that mistake.
Well, don't worry. We're recording this, so we'll put that on the board.
Perfect. It was, yeah. I've made some good moves, but that was, I don't even know when that was, but that was really hard to swallow. So, yeah.
Hey, One Life, you have a question?
Thanks, or Dave. Excuse me. I apologize. Not a question, but just want to say, awesome testimony. Thank you for being on this platform to share your guys' journey and the grit and the perseverance that you guys have had. Truly remarkable story. One quick thought, just because I looked at your Twitter and looked at some of your NFTs, and I mean, they're gorgeous. They're beautiful. Have you ever thought about asking that hospital in Wisconsin or any other children's hospital to, as you know, the early adoption of NFTs and digital art and everything of that nature, to showcase that as like art in their hospital? I think it'd be very unique in a way, also for you to be able to give back.
So thank you. That's really appreciated, the sharing your journey. I like doing it, but it feels really nice to hear that from other people. It's not always the easiest thing. So when it comes to, well, I'll tell you 2 things about Children's Hospital. So we've been trying to get them to get a crypto wallet so I can do donations for them and just transfer the ETH. But I've been converting it like immediately and donating it. So we're trying to get them. You spoke to a little bit about early adoption. We're trying to get them early adopters because I think a lot of charities are beginning to do that. But it'd be pretty cool if they were on the cutting edge. And I have not really thought about displaying my art in the hospital. I did work with, it's called the Herma Heart Center. It's where my daughter goes for heart care, and it's inside Children's Hospital. It's all part of that. And they use my art for some of their PowerPoint slides, but I've never thought about, displaying it in their building. And maybe that's something I need to say, hey, I'd like to donate that, or where would you like to put it, and what would that look like? So I like that idea. I'm definitely going to write it down because I like
we're
trying
going to chat
to.
on that. That's a really good idea, and I think it's a way to make it tangible and real to them. It's really hard. We spent a lot of time trying to explain NFTs and educate a lot of people there that really have no concept for what the heck any of us are doing in this space. And thankfully, we've seen a lot more famous household people, names, brands get in, so you can reference those things and make it more tangible for them. But Melissa, that's a neat thing that you and I should talk about and present to the foundation. That'd be a neat way to make this real for them and be a reminder for them to get their dang crypto wallet set up.
I wonder, just spitballing it, I wonder if we could do something with each auction that I've done with the ones that I've donated with the charity auction for them. Ooh. Never mind. I don't know if that makes sense. I know. So it'd be like 22 images. We're doing a charity auction with Ethereum Towers, and it's 22 images. And I'm wondering if each one could be, maybe we can talk to them about that, because that would be a cool way at the end of that to kind of cap off that as an exciting thing at the very end.
I mean, your pieces are just colorful and they're beautiful in it. And I just think about my kids, right? And going into hospitals and things of that nature. And I mean, it'd be easier to show, hey, that's a heart, that's a hip, that's a lung, that's eyes, that's as a form of art, than try to, dump it into my 4-year-old's brain or 2-year-old's brain of, this is what it looks like, or this is the procedure that's going to happen, and vice versa. I mean, I really believe, because I moved to Houston 3 years ago from Kansas City, and Children's Mercy's there, right? Huge kids, pediatric hospital, and it's all colorful and all of that stuff. So that's what immediately I started thinking of. I think it'd be an awesome asset. So thanks again for being here, sharing your journey, and really, really, really appreciate your story.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming up and helping with those ideas. I love that.
Great idea.
Anyone else want to come up and talk? Feel free to raise your hand. I'll look up here. We have space. So, Melissa, here's a question for you. It's kind of maybe it's an oddball question. If you could take a time machine back 20 years and your current day self said to yourself 20 years ago that people are going to be selling pictures of parts and pixelated CryptoPunks on the blockchain for X number of dollars, and people are making a living doing this, what would you say to yourself?
I would probably not understand, and probably would be pretty skeptical of everything I said. If it was 10 years ago, I feel, or maybe even like, say it was 7 years ago, I feel like since my daughter was born, this is going to sound kind of weird, I've become more curious, and I've become more open to different things. So like, there's been, weird happenings, and I was curious about them, and I deep dove, and our family's for the better because of it. And I will say, as I've gotten older, I've become more curious, and I think my, I'm 36. I think I'm 36.
That's correct.
When I was, when I was 20, I probably would have been like, I don't get this. But maybe like when I was like 30, I would have been like, I could see it. I can see it. I don't understand it, but I definitely could see it. It's, I feel like for a while, all this digital art didn't really have a good space for it. You could use it as advertisements, but just art for art was on a digital platform wasn't there. And I've been wondering what to do with, my art besides printing it. And this is just like the light bulb idea that you can have it on a screen, you can see it on your computer and things like that. And that's just, it's been really neat to see.
Yeah, if I could take a time machine back 20 years and my present day self told myself 20 years ago that I just bought a chronic cat for $4,000, I would probably punch myself in the face. But
for sure.
that's just probably like how I would react, because it just like it makes a lot of sense now, but even like a year and a half ago, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I didn't really see the value in stuff like this, but there certainly is value in it, for sure. And down the line, I think it's going to be in the same realm as physical, tangible art that we could touch. And there's certain companies now that they're kind of making that happen right now, like Token Frame. You could basically use a Wi-Fi setup, and anything that you have on your blockchain and your NFT wallet, you could project on the wall in your house in an actual picture frame, and it could rotate into all different types of NFTs that you have. So I think we're really going somewhere with this, and I'm super excited for how things are going to progress. We're getting close to the end here. I just wanted to thank you guys for coming here. If anybody wants to come up and say anything to Melissa or Ryan before we wrap it up, we'll let you up in the box if you want to talk to them. Feel free to come on up. I just really want to say that you guys, you really made my night. I have a lot of respect for two people that, dedicated their entire life in taking care of this little girl. And, your little kid's a warrior, but both of you are as well. And, I give you both a lot of respect for what you do. Persevering, having strong will, and big hearts. And you really made my night tonight. So I just want to thank you guys.
Thank you so much for having us on too. It's without you, this platform, we couldn't share our story. So thank you so much. It's been cool to meet new friends. I mean, it's crazy that, I can get on a Twitter space with you, something that I didn't even know how to do a month ago, and we can chat, and I can see friends in the audience. I can see people that I've never seen before, and it's the community is amazing. So thank you again for giving us this, your time. Thank you for all of this. This is amazing.
Thank you so much for coming out, guys. I really had a great time talking to you, and wish you the best of luck for you and your girl. And yeah, thanks again. And, happy holidays as well. We're getting close to that time of year.
We are. Same to you.
We are.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, I'm turning into an old man, so I'm gonna get ready to go to sleep.
Totally fair.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for coming out. If you guys want to check out the website, please check out the website. It's the atomical. Wow, I can't even speak right now. The anatomicalproject.com. You can check out both the Hearts project and the project that they have with the brains, the lungs, kidneys, liver. They got a bunch of stuff on OpenSea. Check out their Discord. You could get everything through Melissa and Ryan's Twitters. You could get onto the link tree and just check out their projects. Really cool stuff. And thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.